Imagine moving to the middle of nowhere, deep in the Alaskan wilderness, just to escape your old life. No noise, no stress, just peace. But what if something was already waiting for you? Watching, lurking, hiding in the dark. That's what happened to me when I found an old diary in my cabin. One that told of a terrifying creature with twisted limbs and rotting black eyes. First, I thought it was just paranoia, until I saw it outside my window. And that was only the beginning. A few years ago, my life felt like it was falling apart. My finances were a mess. My mental health was crumbling, and I barely slept. Every time I stepped outside, the city looked worse. More crime, more homelessness, more signs of decay. With no family ties left, I knew it was time for a change. So I sold nearly everything I owned, packed my car, and drove to Alaska for a fresh start. I bought a small cabin in the middle of the wilderness, surrounded by towering mountains and endless forests. At night, the northern lights painted the sky in breathtaking colors, making me feel at peace for the first time in years. Life was simple: hunting, tending a small garden, and living off the grid. No noise, no stress, just pure, untouched nature. One evening, as the sun set in streaks of red and gold, I found an old leather-bound book on my bookshelf. It was a diary left by the previous owner, dated January 9th, 2015. Curiosity got the best of me, so I started reading. The diary's author spoke of paranoia, of something lurking in the shadows of the cabin. He wrote of a gaunt, twisted creature with rotting eyes and unnaturally bent limbs. It moved strangely, disappearing before he could catch it. At night, he heard it breathing beneath his bed, shuffling in the dark. His wife, strangely, never saw or heard a thing, but she would vanish without explanation, returning as if nothing had happened. Trapped by the snow, he feared for his life, certain the thing was waiting for him. I slammed the diary shut, unsettled by his words. It was probably just the ramblings of an isolated man, but his fear was contagious. I grabbed a different book, trying to shake the eerie images from my mind. But that night, just as I drifted off, I saw something. A silhouette pressed against my window. A tall, starved figure with hollow black eyes. Next morning, I found footprints in the snow, leading away from my cabin toward the frozen lake. My heart pounded as I followed the trail, only to spot my neighbor, Steve, a mile away. He was the only other person in this desolate wilderness. "You're up early," he called out, lowering his rifle. "Yeah, couldn't sleep," I replied. Then, after a pause, I asked, "Did you know the last guy who lived here?" Steve's face darkened instantly. "Yeah," he muttered. I knew him. His voice held something cold, something unspoken. And in that moment, I realized whatever had haunted that man might not be gone after all. I wasn't sure what to expect from Steve's answer, but his words hit me like a punch to the gut. "He's dead. Been dead for a while. Died right there in that cabin," he said, pointing directly at my home. A chill ran through me, a deep, sinking dread settling in my stomach. How did he die? A heart attack or something?" I asked, hoping for an answer that made sense. Steve looked away, avoiding my eyes. "Did you know Alaska has the highest rate of missing persons in the US? It's not even close. More people vanish here, never to be found, than anywhere else. They even have a name for it, the Alaska Triangle." I frowned, sensing he was dodging my question. "No, I didn't know that," I admitted. Steve sighed and finally met my gaze. "The thing about Will Lenning and his wife is disturbing. If you really want to hear it, I'll tell you, but it won't help you sleep at night." I hesitated for a moment, but curiosity won out. "Tell me." The wind suddenly picked up, sending flurries of snow whirling around us. Steve pulled his hood back, shaking out his long black hair. "Let's talk inside. A little whiskey might help." Inside, we sat with a bottle of Johnny Walker. I wasn't much of a drinker, but Steve certainly was. He knocked back 3 shots in a minute while I barely sipped mine. "So, Will Lenning," Steve started. "No one really knows the full story. He was like you. Just a guy looking for peace away from the city. We used to hunt together, play poker with some of the other guys. He seemed normal. Until he didn't." Steve leaned closer, his expression darkening. He started talking about someone watching him through the windows at night. Said he heard breathing under his bed, like something diseased. Eventually, he stopped sleeping, kept the lights on 24/7. Then he started digging. Everywhere, even in the middle of snowstorms. Like he was searching for something. Steve paused, his gaze drifting to the mountains outside. One day, I stopped by because I hadn't heard from him in a while. Found the door wide open, and inside, he was sitting right where you are now. Shot himself in the head. My blood ran cold. Next to him was a diary, blood-stained but still readable. His last entry said something about the twisted man leading him to the truth. Steve shook his head. Cops took everything as evidence, including that diary. My eyes flicked to the bookshelf. The diary was still there. "How did it get back here?" I muttered. Steve didn't seem to hear me. His wife vanished the same time he died. Never seen again, like she evaporated into thin air. After Steve left, I grabbed the diary. Flipping to the middle, I found the last entry. Dried blood was splattered across the page. January 27, 2015. Will Lenning didn't live long after seeing the twisted man. Was I next? As the sun dipped behind the mountains, I sat at the table, eating venison and reading. Near the end, Will wrote that the twisted man wasn't the enemy, that he was trying to protect him from something worse. I scoffed at his foolishness. Clearly, his paranoia had killed him. But then, a terrible thought hit me. What if I was making the same mistake? I could leave now, take my gun and snowmobile, and be in town in a couple of hours. But I knew I wouldn't. Some force, something unseen, was keeping me here. I needed answers. That night, I fell asleep in front of the TV, an empty beer bottle in my hand. Static hummed softly in the background, a comforting distraction from the eerie silence outside. Then I woke up. The TV flickered, its screen filled with white noise. A low, crackling hiss filled the room, like thousands of whispering voices. I wasn't alone. I glanced at the clock. 3:33 a.m. Cabin was dark and silent, except for the howling wind outside. I sat up, confused. Something had woken me, but I couldn't figure out what. The satellite had never cut out before, even in the worst Alaskan storms. TV flickered, static rising and twisting across the screen. Black lines crawled horizontally, the white noise deepening into something more, something wet, like gurgling breath. I leaned closer, heart hammering, and for a moment, I swore I heard words whispering beneath the static. Then, an image flickered onto the screen. I froze. The screen showed a live feed of my own cabin. I could see myself sitting there staring at the TV. My breath hitched. I lifted my hand. A tiny version of me on the screen did the same. Ice water dripped down my spine. Where was the camera? I turned to look. But the only thing behind me was the wooden wall. When I turned back, I nearly screamed. A pale, naked figure crouched behind my chair on the screen. Its limbs twitched in unnatural movements, its spine bent at an impossible angle. A guttural voice crackled through the speakers, thick with decay. "He's a killer, the shadow of death. Many have fallen. Many lie buried in this forest. You will be next." Long, blackened fingers reached for my shoulders. I leapt from the chair, crashing into the TV. Glass shattered. For a brief moment, before darkness swallowed the screen, I thought I saw a rotting face peering out from behind the chair. I turned on every light in the cabin. My breath came in short gasps as I grabbed my shotgun. A warning rang in my head. If the twisted man wanted me dead, why hadn't he killed me in my sleep? Was he toying with me, playing with his food before eating it? I had to leave, throwing on layers to protect against the brutal cold. I stepped outside, the icy air slicing through me. The wind howled through the trees as I rode my snowmobile towards Steve's cabin. I thought I saw pale figures lurking in the snow, but each time I turned, they were gone. Steve's cabin was warm and lit. Relief flooded me as I knocked. He answered, groggy but annoyed. I begged him to let me stay. With a sigh, he waved me in. Lying awake, I browsed his bookshelf. My heart sank. True crime books filled the shelves. Serial killers, missing persons. A large black binder sat at the end. Inside, newspaper clippings detailed disappearances spanning decades. I flipped pages frantically. A clipping about Will Lenning's suicide appeared. Next to it, scrawled in red ink, "Haha," a gun cocked behind me. "How do you like my work?" Steve's voice was smooth, almost amused. My blood turned to ice. I turned slowly, the binder clutched in my shaking hands. "It's you," I whispered. "You killed them all." Steve grinned, his dead eyes glinting. "Too bad. I just killed another tonight. Was saving you for later." Behind him, a pale, hunched figure loomed. The Twisted Man. Long fingers traced Steve's neck. He shrieked, spinning to face the horror behind him. I lunged for my shotgun. Steve fired. Pain exploded in my leg. I screamed but pulled the trigger. Steve's head shattered, blood painting the walls. The Twisted Man grinned, then slinked back into the shadows. I understood now. He had never been after me. He had been trying to warn me. As dawn broke, I limped outside. The Twisted Man stood in the open doorway, grinning. Slowly, he lifted a hand and waved. I waved back before riding into town, leaving that cursed cabin and its ghost behind. If you found a diary in your new home describing something horrifying lurking in the shadows, would you stay and investigate, or would you leave immediately? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Creepy Hive for more chilling stories.